Welcome to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That, which is out now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or you can get it through my website, unifyingsolutions.com. Just get on the book portal. You can order it there. And today I'm so honored to have Monu Singh with me as co-pilot for our Wisdom Wednesdays, where you get to have a moment to have a topic to reflect on for the rest of your week. And thank you for being here, Monu.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
I want to remind everyone that when we're talking about the purpose for life, we're talking about that if you go back to the first podcast, currency, that there is an operating system inside of us that's designed with or without us to remember the truth of who we are through polarities of a current running between poles. So we say that the soul is the positive pole, sending a current through the negative pole to return to itself. So we would say the negative pole is the material world form. So the energy that enlivens us comes from an energy source for all of creation. Our soul is a drop of that, and the soul current runs between poles, with the direction of returning to itself to remember the truth of who we are as a soul consciousness in that current that runs between the poles, which is why the first podcast is called Currency, is because the current that runs between these poles literally animates our whole life. It animates our thinking, our breath, our heartbeat, our feeling, all of how we experience ourselves can only be because we've been given this incredible gift of life energy that is part and parcel of the source of life for all of creation. So benevolence has been bestowed upon us, and benevolence is within us. As part of the book portal and the book and documentary launch, there's something called the Wisdom Deck. It's called the Great Reconnection, that has 22 cards in it to help you stay connected to what this deeper purpose for life is. Remembering and returning to the truth of who we are over and over again at a deeper level. So the card that got pulled today that we're going to reflect on, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read what the message is on the back, and then Monu and I will reflect on it ourselves and give you a chance to reflect on it till next week. Interrupt your negative narratives, biases, and self-judgments. Rewire your mind in alignment with the truth of your birthright, making your mind a safe place to live. So let's just start with that last part, making your mind a safe place to live. What's the truth of our birthright? Is to remember that we're a radiant soul. And how do we do that? We do that by interrupting our negative narratives, our biases, our self-judgments, or judgments towards others. So let's see what the wisdom of this card is inviting us into. You are invited to shift your mind from habits of negativity to life-giving thoughts. Pause and become curious how your mental grooves repeat negative thoughts, biases, and self-judgments. Breathe. Allow them to be there, as once upon a time they served a brilliant purpose. Breathe again. Begin a different repetition, one aligned with the truth of life energy, the source of life for all of creation. Find your own way of truing your mind to the power and grace of your birthright, so your mind is safe for you. Wow. I mean, that's a tall order in a certain way and a necessary order if we want to have access to our deeper self is to hold ourselves accountable to what our mind is actually doing that's really keeping us from our distant self and making us not feel safe inside our own selves. We are determining our own lack of safety for ourselves by what we're doing with our mind, whether it's criticizing ourselves or thinking that we're not enough or thinking that we're an imposter or we should have done it perfectly or whatever the blah, blah, blah is, or the negativity about what's going on in the world. And looping around that, or the biases we have about who we think has value and who doesn't have value, or how we've internalized that of how we think we have value or don't have value. While all the while your mind is looping in that way, there is grace being showered upon us every single moment. And when we can pause and remember what this design is for us that's working on our own behalf, and thank the ways our mind has been life taking for us, we can then choose to have our mind become life giving by having our mind align with what this benevolent design and this grace that's being showered upon us. We can pause and go, my goodness gracious, I have been given this incredible gift of life. And just saying that turns the attention inwards to the bounty of what's inside of us all the time. So, Monu, when you hear this card today, how does this impact you hearing this card today? And what does it mean for you in terms of what you might want to practice for yourself?
The first thing I was struck with in your reading of this card is just how much richness there is and depth, um, and you really explained it beautifully. What was resonating with me was that pause that you read when you turned the card over, because I feel like the power of the mind, um, it can, and our senses can be so strong to pull us out of ourselves. But when we just take what is actually like a simple step, it can be difficult to do, but just take a breath and pause. I feel like it just gives us a little bit more space and allows us to feel a little bit more grace to really exercise our own agency and make a different choice for ourselves as to where we want our attention to be. And so, like for me, it's remembering that, remembering that, um, noticing that when I'm getting pulled and being self-critical, for example, that I have working within me the system that you talked about. And also, I have my own choice that I can make to pause for a moment and make a different choice, and reroute my mind in a different way.
I appreciate what you're saying. And listening to you, I think it's really important for us to understand that we do have an operating system inside of us that's designed to benefit us greatly. And that gives the mind something else to do because the mind wants to repeat. So it has to be able to repeat something that's life giving and it has to know the difference. I was coaching a leader yesterday and um, she was looping. And I said, so what if you just paused for a moment? And she did. She paused. And I go, we've been talking in our coaching about this animating energy, that it's a gift that's been given to us. And I said, what happens when you say, I've been given this gift of life? And she just said it out loud. I've been given this gift of life, and her mood changed. Her face brightened. And it didn't take like an hour, it took like literally that pause where you said that space can come in. And then aligning the mind, not with a false reality, like the reality that there's an energy current inside of us that is our soul is accurate. And aligning with that accuracy becomes life-giving without having to work hard. Yes, requires work to make that choice, but the alignment then becomes life-giving. And that's what we want for you all. So we're going to wind down for today. Pause. Make your mind a safe place for you to be. You deserve it. You deserve to know the wholeness and holiness that resides inside of you by pausing and remembering that you are designed to know the truth of who you are, which is unlimited radiance. Thank you for joining us, Monu, my co-pilot, and me on the Purpose for Life podcast. Once again, I'm Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of the Great Reconnection Movement. And we're excited to have you here with us today. Have a great rest of your day.